Alright, so welcome back to part 3 on what's in the box for Terraforming Mars, Venus Next. So let's continue on with these cards, discussing them further. Now this pile of cards here focuses on cards that focus on increasing the terraforming of Venus, basically. And what they'll do is they focus on increasing this nice little Venus scale here. That's what they focus on. So let's continue on. So first we have Venus Soils for 20 credits. And it has the Venus tag on it and a plant tag too. And it will raise Venus one step. And then it will increase your plant production one step. And then add 2 microbes to another card. So I like this one a lot. That one's a pretty nice one. Then we have Venus Magnetizer, and it requires 7 credits, as well as requires the Venus to be 10% at least in order to play this card. But then as an action, you can decrease your energy production one step to raise Venus one step. Then we have Thermophiles, another microbe card that costs 9 credits, and it also requires Venus to be at least 6%. But as an action, you can add 1 microbe to any Venus card, or spend 2 microbes here to raise Venus one step. So I like that one a lot. Then we have Sulfur Exports. For 21 credits, you can increase Venus one step, and then increase your mega credit production one step for each Venus tag you have, including this. So that's pretty nice. If you had a few Venus tags in play, you could increase it quite a bit. Then we have Orbital Reflectors for 26 credits. You can raise Venus 2 steps and increase your heat production 2 steps. Well, that's nice. I like that one a lot. That one's really nice. Then we have, for 7 credits, Neutralizer Factory, and it requires Venus to be at least 10%, and then you can increase Venus one step. For just 7 credits, that's kind of a nice deal. That's less than half it would be if you were to spend it on the normal project. So that's really nice. Then for 27 credits, we have the Giant Solar Shade, and this will actually raise Venus 3 steps. So that's quite a bit. That technically is still less than it would cost if you were to do a standard project air scraping twice. This would still be less than that, and you get to do it 3 times. That is awesome. Then we have, for 23 money, we have Greenhouse Gases Import from Venus. You can raise Venus one step and increase your heat production 3 steps. That's pretty nice for an event. And then we have another one of my favorites here, Venetian Plants for 13 credits. It also requires you to have Venus at least 16%, but then you can raise Venus one step and then add 1 microbe or 1 animal to another Venus card. So that's kind of cool. If you had a bunch of animal cards, that could come in handy. Or if you have a bunch of microbe cards, that would definitely come in handy as well. And you get to increase Venus by 1. And, it's really nice. So that's it for that pile of cards. Then we have some more that have the Venus tag on them. These all have Venus tags on them, but they don't really focus on increasing Venus or really focus on floaters either. So let's get started with these. Well, this is definitely one of my favorites too. For 15 money, and it also requires your Venus to be at least 18%, so that's a little above halfway on the scale. And for each animal on this card, it's worth a point. And as an effect, when you play a science tag, including this, you add 1 animal to this card. So if you're planning on playing a lot of science tags, this could come in handy later down the road. Then we have Venetian insects. Well, this one only costs 5 credits, but it does require Venus to be at least 12% on the scale, and then it's also worth 1 victory point per 2 microbes on this card. And every generation, as an action, you can add 1 microbe to this card. So that's pretty cool. Then we have, for 9 money, 9 credits, we have Venus Way Station. As an effect, when you play a Venus tag, you may pay 2 less credits for it. So that's kind of nice. And then we have another cheap little card here, but it does require that you have at least 2 Venus tags in play. But for just 4 money, you can increase your mega credit production 2 steps for just 4 credits. That's awesome. And all you have to do is have 2 Venus tags in play. Well, let's hope you've been playing a lot of them. That way you can play this card for very, very cheap. Then we have, for 6 credits, we have sulfur-eating bacteria. It also requires that your Venus be at least 6% terraformed. Now, as an action, now this one is awesome if you ask me. This is super awesome. As an action, add 1 microbe to this card, or spend any number of microbes here to gain the triple amount of mega credits. That is wow. This is definitely one of my favorite cards. So let's say you had 5 microbes on this card. What is 3 times 5? 15, right? You'd get 15 credits for paying all of the microbes sitting on this card. That is wow. That is powerful. If you get more than that, you'd get even more credits, obviously, right? Wow, it's just wow. It's just awesome. You know, let's say you had 10. If you had 10 microbes on this card, and it's possible, there's a lot of cards that give microbes to other cards. If you had 10 microbes on this card, you could pay all of them and get 30 credits for it. That is remarkably awesome. It could definitely come in handy for sure. And that's really cool. But make sure that the Venus is at least 6%, so that way you can play this card. It's very cheap too, so that's awesome. Then we have, for 7 credits, we have Sister Planet Support. Now, this one will require you to have a Venus and an Earth tag in play, but it will increase your mega credit production 3 steps for a total of just 7 credits. That is a deal for sure. All right, then we have, for 18 credits, we have the Maxwell Base. Now, this is a card that works with the board here, and you'll see that there's a nice city tile that goes right here on Maxwell Base, and it's actually on Venus itself, technically. So, let's go over what it does. First of all, requires you to have your Venus terraforming rating up to 12% at least. And then you also have to have at least 1 energy production, because it will decrease your energy production by 1 as well. But then you'll also get to place a city on the reserved area, which I just showed you is on that board. And this card is worth 3 points. And then as an action, add 1 resource to another Venus card. Now, this doesn't directly work with floaters, but you could add a floater to another Venus card. You could add a microbe to another Venus card. You could add an animal to another Venus card. You could probably even add that asteroid resource to the asteroid card, too, technically, that I showed in one of the other videos, if that one was a Venus card. I can't remember if it was or not, but regardless of the case, as long as it's a Venus card, you can add whatever resource you need for that card. But you're only adding 1 per generation, so that's really cool that you'll get to do this quite a bit. That is really awesome. I like this card a lot. Then we have Ishtar Mining. Sounds like Romulan, if you ask me. I think the Ishtar was a Romulan, secret organization or something. Or, anyways, so for 5 credits, and it requires Venus 8%, you can increase your titanium production 1 step. So as long as you meet that requirement, it only costs 5 money to increase your titanium production 1 step. That is a deal, and that is definitely a favorite of mine. Ishtar. If I remember correctly, Stargate SG-1 had an Ishtar thing as well. I could be wrong, but I could be getting my science fiction series all mixed up. But anyways, it does sound familiar. Then we have Freya Biodomes. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. This one requires 14 credits, and it also requires that Venus be at least 10%. Then you can add 2 microbes or 2 animals to another Venus card. So that's kind of interesting. 2 animals or 2 microbes to another Venus card. And then decrease your energy production 1 step and increase your mega credit production 2 steps. So this is definitely one of my favorite cards as well. And it's going to give you a couple extra victor points to boot. So that's a really cool card. Then we have Extremophiles, another awesome microbe card. Very cheap, only 3 credits, but you will need to have 2 science tags in play to play it. And then it is worth a victor point for every 3 microbes on this card. But then as an action, you can add 1 microbe to any card. Doesn't matter if it's a Venus card, it says any card. So that's really cool, and that's definitely another favorite of mine, for sure. Alright, then we have Corridor, I think it's called Corridor Suits. Corridor Suits. Anyways, 8 credits to pay for it, and then it will increase your mega credit production 2 steps, and it will also add 1 resource to any Venus card. So like that other one earlier, you can add a microbe to another Venus card, you can add a floater to another Venus card, you can add an animal to another Venus card. So that's really cool. To any Venus card. So that's really cool. And then we have Atlantia Planitia Lab, the last one in this particular pile. It requires 3 science tags, and it also requires 10 credits to pay for it. But then, for that much, you get to draw 2 cards. So that's kind of cool. And it gives you 2 victory points as well. And that's it for that pile. We still have 1 more pile to go through of cards. And then in the same video, I think we'll go over what was available for colonies that works with Venus next. See you guys in the next video.